Welcome back to Sky News. Now, a psychiatric nurse has begun legal action to stop the National Health Service from prescribing puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones to children who want to undergo gender reassignment. Susan Evans is bringing the action against the Tavistock and Portman NHS Trust, her former employer, which runs the country's only gender identity development service. She says she became increasingly concerned that young children were being given experimental treatment without proper assessments. Well, with me now, Charlie Evans, who began the process of transitioning and lived as a man for several years, but went on to change that decision and now supports others who find themselves in the same position and has founded the Detransition Advocacy Network. Charlie, hello.
Hi.
Always controversial, this subject. It's interesting, isn't it? Because we're talking about it so much more openly now, and people are finding themselves learning with family members about how and when to transition. How young is too young to start having the conversation, let alone going through some kind of hormone blocker procedure?
I think that's going to be different for different people. I think in terms of exploring gender identity, in terms of exploring, do you like suits or do you like dresses or do you like a sort of a bit of both? I think that can happen as soon as kids can talk. I think that's really positive. But if we're using that as signs that a child might have been born in the wrong body or that there might need to be some sort of medical intervention, I think that should be considered much later, at a time that you would expect someone to have a stronger sense of self, which, at least for me, I know didn't happen until sort of my mid-20s. I don't know.
Do you think, Charlie, the lines have been blurred in terms of, you make the distinction there between gender identity and, whether you like to wear suits or dresses, and gender reassignment, which is a totally different thing. This is somebody who is living in a body they do not feel is theirs. Do you think the lines have been blurred, and because the conversation is out there now, services like the NHS are reacting to that, almost a knee-jerk reaction?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've perhaps gone slightly backwards in the way we see it, where we were once encouraging boys to enjoy watching Frozen and dressing up in princess dresses. We're now seeing that might be a symptom of something more, and we're perhaps making those referrals to Tavistock much younger. There have been 10 referrals to Tavistock within the last year of children that were aged 3 years old and 4 years old.
Wow.
And is that stepping in too early, rather than just saying, yeah, it's a great kid, wear the dress, love the dress.
Let's see how it evolves.
Yeah, and enjoy it, and enjoy that sort of expression, rather than stepping in with any sort of intervention or perhaps even suggesting this idea that there could be something wrong with that or wrong with them.
Charlie, what was your process, if you see what I mean, in terms of, as you were growing up, going through your own gender identity in your mind, getting to know yourself, deciding that you did want to transition, then not? What was the process? What sort of ages and what was going through your head?
I think
all sorts, I would imagine, in terms of confusion.
Yeah, it definitely complicates puberty when you've got that in addition to sort of all the other stuff. I was acutely aware from about the ages of 4 or 5 that I liked girls. I knew that, other girls were chasing boys in Kiss Chase, and I was...
You didn't want to do that?
I was, I was quite adamant about that. And I liked football, and I liked, all these traditionally boy things. So when I first heard the idea of this phrase, born in the wrong body or gender dysphoria, I felt like I'd finally found the thing that fit me. And I thought, this is it. This explains why I've never fit in life. This explains why I have no interest in makeup or dresses or glitter. And I sort of clung to that as an identity. I clung to that as the solution to a lot of things. But then I realised for me, it didn't matter calling myself a boy or using male pronouns. It didn't fix the self-esteem problems. And the more I heal the self-esteem, the more comfortable I am at saying I'm proudly a gender non-conforming woman who likes what I like, and it doesn't make me less female.
In terms of what advice would you give to parents? Because obviously parents are more aware of this now. Open conversations are being had with, in families up and down the country about, how their kids are feeling, what they identify with, how they feel in their own bodies. What would be your advice? Would it be not to rush it, to see how it plays out as they get into their teens? Yeah,
transition will always be an option at a later age. Just enjoy and celebrate that gender non-conformity. Don't try to make any sort of decisions based on on fear that there might not be that option later down the line. There always will be. Yeah. Wait until your child has that well-rounded sort of personality that happens a little bit later.
And in the meantime, celebrate difference.
Yeah.
Charlie, really good to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming in to talk to us about this. Charlie Evans there.